religion gets more airtime than agriculture, health, science, and technology on state and national radios and TVs, while churches are, quite common. However, they often hear the stories of some duplicity of some religious leaders and the gullibility of the masses. And how does one discern a true church or a true man of God from the charlatan?
I don't relate. I don't go out. So sometimes when people tell me things, when I say I don't relate, I'm not all of us. So I mean, it's news to me. All right. So when people talk about duplicity and and all of that, sometimes people tell me things. Oh, is that going on and all of that? But religion is a very sensitive thing. All right. It's what a person on the inside of themselves. You can't legislate it. If somebody says this is what he believes, somebody else might consider it to be you're being gullible or you are being deceived, but that's what that person believes. So it's a sensitive place to go to in terms of saying I want to discriminate. Because if somebody starts his religion today and says what we believe is that this chair is our sovereign God, right? Under the Constitution, he has a right to preach his religion. Somebody else can say that anybody who believes in that is gullible, and so how do you determine that? So I think every single person from their heart, if they believe deep down on the inside of themselves that this is the way they want to express their worship and service to God, there's nothing anybody can do.
And I'll ask you a religious question. God has given us free will. At what point does a person have to take responsibility for his action and not blame the devil?
Oh, always. Always. You are responsible for what you do. I don't see anywhere in the scriptures that anybody's action is blamed on the devil in terms of you saying that the consequence will not. The law is that whatsoever a man sows, that also shall that man reap. So you have the power of choice, and once you exercise it, the question of consequence is there. So it's you that did it.
We also know that being a believer does not preclude one from trials. What are your recommendations for trying times such as this?
My recommendation for trying times generally, not necessarily, but trying times is first thing that you have to do is that you've got to understand that when you have trying times, all right, as in expressing your personal faith now, those times are a rearrangement of things. Things are being rearranged within your life. If you express negative emotions, what happens is that the process of rearrangement goes against you. If you express positive, which is joy, and all of that with a heart of gratitude, things are arranged in your favor. So the first thing I'll tell everybody is to make sure that you count it all joy. Number two, to understand that at the end of the day, you are going to see God in His sovereignty work in your favor and show you His love. All that is going on is that there's a rearrangement of your life that is beyond your understanding. In your understanding, you are saying something bad is going on, but God somewhere in His hand will be able to produce something if you act right. So first, joy, stay in a place of prayer, look out for new options, read a lot to find fresh information on how to act, because you're going into a new world and a new space. And then the first thing I would say is, even though you have pressing needs in your life being tried, go on an adventure of helping people who are in need. Look for people who have problems at that time, and that your little contribution to their lives will be the miracle in their lives. Go ahead and do that, and you'll be surprised at what will happen in your life.
Can we use that theory for the national life as well? Because clearly things are not as we hope they will be. Do you reckon that Nigeria is also going through that kind of transformation that you talked about? Right now,
yes. There is nothing we are going through, as much as Nigerians like to say this is a condition is different, nobody else. There is nothing we are going through today that some other nations have not gone through and came out of it. And if we will read and find out what those nations did and implement those things in our situation, we will also come out.
We look forward to that time. But now I'm asking you this question as citizen Poju Oyemade, not as Pastor Poju. Do you reckon that the EFCC and ICPC are prosecuting the war against corruption properly?
Do you actually think you can separate citizen Poju Oyemade from pastor? It's not. There's nothing I can say that will look like pastor. I don't know anything about CPC. I don't know anything about EFCC or IC. I don't know. You know, it's one of the things we do in this country that people just pass comments because they're in positions of influence and they don't have knowledge for what they're saying. No fact. I have no statistics. I have no facts. I have no data. I don't know what their office looks like. So how do I then come out and say they're doing it right or wrong? I'm sure the people there are competent people, and I'm sure that they are doing their best.
Give me 2 examples of how believers can apply biblical principles in a pragmatic and practical way in their daily lives.
First thing I will say is that your words dominate your life, absolutely. That in scripture when it says God breathed into man and man became a living soul, the exact Hebrew rendering says, and man became another speaking spirit like God. So life means the ability to speak. When a baby is born, the way you know the baby is alive is the baby cries, so gives voice. So that's the first sign of life. And that's the first practical thing you can do in order to change your life. The second thing I'll also say, apart from, because we all know we should pray, we should fast, is that you should control your thought life. Right? Anytime negative thoughts come that build negative emotions, images of a bad future, whatever it is, use your words to control your thought life. If you can control your thought life, all right, with your words, you will get very fine life.
If there was one important message from the Bible that you'd like to share with the world, one, what would it be?
Giving. That when we stand before God, it will be based on our acts of generosity. But let me say one other thing. I lost my father, I think about, that was sometime 2 years ago. And when I was with him in the hospital, and it was his last days, and, you know, and I realized something, because after he died, I met a classmate and who told me a story, and I said, will you come for the funeral? I said, yeah. Her mother was English, so her mother was in England. And she called her mother, and her mother said, you must go for that funeral. And the mother told her a story, which I didn't know. The mother said, in 1968, when I married your father, I was come to Nigeria, I wasn't accepted. Even his family did not really accept me. But it was Poju's father and mother that came to the port in 1968 to wait there, and they received us and fought to make sure they were integrated into the family. So I heard stories, and I realized that the only real wealth you have are the investments in your relationship. So that's the only real wealth. So what I would tell anybody is generosity, and make sure you invest into the relationships that are in your life.
Pastor Poju Oyemade, we thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And we thank you for watching. Please join us next time when View from the Top returns. But between now and then, let's continue our conversation online at channelstv.com. And do follow me on Twitter at ModeleSY. And Pastor Poju at Pastor Poju. Do tweet us your thoughts on our conversation today. And we ask you to join us again next time. Bye-bye for now.